Hey Paul, this is the stuntydm. This is probably going to be one of my latter or last videos of the new year. A few people have asked about these sort of things, and I'm going to do a rundown of all the modules I use in my current campaign, which is 𝐼𝐶. So when I go through these, it'll probably be 2 videos, they might be quite lengthy. Thanks a lot if you stick around for all of them, it's really appreciated. Want to start off briefly first of all. You do not need to use modules to have a good Foundry game at all. You can run it core Foundry with no issues and it runs just as well. Modules are there to improve things or add things. I have a lot of modules installed. There's a lot I don't use. Some of mine install just to play around with. Some of them I install and like and are kind of in the background. Other ones are dependencies, but I'll go through those. But I just want to make it clear, you do not need to be using all these. You don't need 146 active modules like I do. This is how I play. I have quite a busy screen. A lot of people hate that. It gives me a lot of access to the things I want and need. So there's that. The other thing I just want to point out, time of doing this video, V9 of Foundry has dropped, so a lot of these modules are now going through changes. I've not updated yet, so this is as of 8.9 for Foundry. I've not moved on to the V9 version yet, but a lot of these modules were done, and so things may be different, things may show different. Some of these may not work in the new version, so if you do watch this in the future, just bear in mind this is an older version. But a lot of these modules will still stay in place. Some of them will be moving into a more core one, I believe. There's a few of them that are moving away, but I just want to make that clear. I'm not saying this is how everything is, but if you're still sticking on V8, these are ones that I use and I find quite useful. So I'll go through them now. I'm not going to go into in-depth reviews. It's going to be quite quick, and this is what this does, and kind of go through them. If there is anything on this list that you see and you would like me to go through in a separate individual video, please drop me a comment. I'm more happy to look at requests and see if I can make a video to give people indication of what the module does. So with that, let's go through them. So the first one on the list is 5e. Sorry, I should also point out one last amendment. I play 5th edition D&D. I do have Pathfinder 2e downloaded, and I think Warhammer 4e. I just haven't played those yet. So all these modules are in relation to 5th edition D&D. I know some of them won't work with other systems. Just don't get your hopes up. So I think 𝐼𝐴𝐼, for example, is one of the modules I use. That one is purely 5th edition. So with that, let's go back into it. So Resource Plus, this allows you to have up to 20 resources. So on a character sheet, if I show you one now, for Adlith, normally you get these 3. With this module, you can add loads more. You can have up to 20 on a sheet. Stat Block Importer, you can literally copy a 5th edition stat block from somewhere and import it into Foundry, and it fills most of it out for you. A few things you have to go into. I've not used it that much myself just yet, but it's one I really want to start using when I bring monsters over, to make it easier. About Time is part of a dependency for a lot of stuff, but it allows you to track timings such as spell endings and length of time on spells in combat, stuff like that. Ace Library is a dependency. Active Auras is something amazing for paladins, especially. It allows you to apply an active effect to a area. So, for example, in the paladin's case, you can set it so that the aura of protection from a paladin is spread out over 10 foot, and you can do things like that. It's really useful. Active token effects. This allows you to amend via things like active effects. You can change characters' lighting features. You can change the token size. So if you have spells such as enlarge and shrink and enlarge, you can do it so that it shrinks the creature size and stuff like that, I believe. Active macros used to be part of the furnace module, which no longer exists or no longer works in this version. This is split off. This has a list of common macros that are used by community and are made by them really useful. Advanced spell effects gives you some really cool features to spells, makes them look really fancy. So I believe this is the one that I've not used it quite so much, but it allows you to do things like I've seen the video for detect magic, where you can literally cast detect magic and it will trigger things up if you use a sequence of ones. So it's dependent on other modules working together. Adventure music is obviously background music. I believe this is part of one, it might be a different one, but there is a list. It comes pre-packaged with a bunch of general music, background music, which is quite nice. Always hit points. There is a little window, which I'll move this to the side. This one down here at the bottom. When you select a token, and you will see it'll give you their name and hit points, in total and current, and you can just type in a box, and then you can click these buttons to injure, kill, heal, full heal. It's really useful, so you don't have to keep going to the tokens, right clicking on them, or have the capture sheet open, you just click and just type and it's done. Ammo tracker, I like this module. It's not something you need to have, but when you are using D&D, it tracks how many attacks have been made that expend ammo, and it at the end of the combat, once you've ended the combat, players get a pop-up in chat. They click a button and it will roll to determine how much you recover if you play with those rules. Useful. If you don't, not so useful. Animation preview. Exactly how it sounds. When you go to a file to look at something such as the animation videos, it will generate a preview when you hover over it to show you what it looks like in play. Improve hit point bar. This one allows you, so when you apply temporary hit points to a token, the hit point bar will become overcolored. So I believe it goes mine set to like a teal color. So when they take the damage and stuff like that, and also when they take hit point damage, the bar kind of changes color to match it as well. I like it for the quick look of seeing, okay, well, they've got temporary hit points on. It's really useful, that sort of thing. Autocomplete inline properties. It allows you to start typing something and it will give you a selection of what would be the most closest thing you're typing. Saves you some time on doing certain things. Automated animations. This is literally a case of when you do, that's the one, JB2A animations. So when you're making attack, if you have that module installed, this will automatically detect the attack type you're making and apply an effect to it for you. And so you have to do it yourself. Automated evocations, companion manager. So this comes part of, you can see here, so dependency of sequencer and �W𝐿𝐴. It gives you an option on a character sheet for companions. So if you have someone who summons a lot or has, would it be familiars? That's what I'm looking for. You can drop those familiars onto that character sheet. It gives you like a little section. You can just drop them in and you can determine how they get summoned, and then the player can just select that character, pop it on, and it will summon it for them. It's really useful. Automatic journal icon numbers. So when you drop a journal, if you start your journal with a 1 example and drop it onto canvas, it will apply a 1 on there for you. So you can it numbers all those. It's quite nice. Better roll tables just makes table rolling a little bit easier. Better roofs to use in conjunction with the new ocular system if you use that. So when you go into a building, you get like a bird's eye view going through a roof. This improves that. Changelog and conflicts is really nice. When you log into Foundry, you get a pop-up to tell you what's been changed. and if there's any conflicts showing up. It's really nice just to see, because not everyone religiously checks the Foundry Discord like I do, so I look at it constantly because I'm that kind of person. So this will show you when you log in, it's like, oh, this is updated, this is the updates, this is what it does. Quite nice. Chat portrait, so gives these little improvements, so you can see that little symbol, and for the characters you're selected, stuff like that. So when you're selected someone, you make these roles and it gives you a little bit more of a icon on there. You can tell it to be the token itself or the artwork. It's quite nice. Code mirror is a dependency. Colored folder contents. This literally, I think it's one of the modules I use for my UI. It allows you to color code quite literally folders. So if you go here, you see here, and if I go into one, you can see that the features all have the slight color to tell you what kind of one it goes under. Combat enhancements gives you a radial icon. So when you're in the tracker, there is like this one adds a little radial hit point icon, so you can see color coded how it's gone, and it also allows you to like reorder people in there by dragging and dropping. One beneath it shows you tooltips for effects. So when an effect goes onto a token in the combat tracker, hovering over this will give you that feature. Combat utility belt is a big one. I use it less than I used to, but I use it because I prefer so I use condition labs for my conditions rather than convenient effects. That is the alternative, really. But it has lots of other features that are really useful for different points, so you might find it more useful on those. I personally like it more for conditions lab and trigger. Community lighting allows you to add different types of lighting animations, which is quite cool. Compendium browsing allows you to, so quick show you here, go to here, and it opens for me. See here, so go spells, and it'll load and show you all the spells that are available in your compendium. So they have been in compendium, but allows you to quickly search for things like that. It's quite nice. Compendium folders. This allows you to put folders in compendiums rather than having each individual like compendium stat on the side. Custom token animation allows you to apply different animations to tokens. That's kind of as it says. D&D Beyond importer. This one has a paid feature, but it allows you to literally pull anything you own from D&D Beyond to Foundry. So you can do the free version and it'll pull the SRD stuff over, but for the paid version it will pull over all your character stuff, all the spells, items, monsters, counters, all the adventurers, and it puts them all into compendium and does all that stuff for you. It is really nice, really easy to use once you get the initial setup done. But if you use D&D Beyond like I do, it is really good. I just don't pay for the feature at the moment. Something I might do. Depreciated modules. This is another kind of UI kind of feature, I guess. It tells you when the module's out of date. So when you load up Foundry, you'll get a pop-up that says that this module's been depreciated. It tells you when it's not being used anymore, and you can then choose if you want to continue using it or remove it. DF active lights. This is more complex animations, gives you more variation on lighting. So you can see here it says properties and directions and color, stuff like that. It's quite nice. DF architect is a one that has you more features for your walls, allowing you to, I believe it's the one that allows you to like draw a wall and then click 2 points and split it, rather than having to draw to a point, stop, draw to a point, stop, and then match the door up perfectly. This one, you just draw the wall across the doorway, click either side, and then go split, and it will remove that and place a door there for you. It's quite nice. Curvy walls is really useful if you're going to be doing circles, as it might sound. So if you've got like columns in a dungeon, that's a perfect module. You literally drop it in drag it and it does a circle for you. There's other ones as well, so you can do more curves and ellipses and stuff, but the circle is the one I use it most for. Quality of life has a few different features in there. I believe one is it makes the templates, I think he calls it greedy templates, but basically it makes it so that it doesn't have to go to the center of the square. So core Foundry, I believe, measures templates to the center, so you have to cover at least 50% of the square, whereas D&D 5e, it literally is, if any part of the square is touched by a template, then the template is then this is applied, and so that's where that comes from. A pocket chain, so you can automatically add a random amount of money to an NPC. Dice are nice. Literally, I think everyone has this. It allows for 3D dice. When you're not playing dice, when you're not rolling dice in person, it is nice to be able to throw virtual dice, hear them clack across the table, and you can change them as you wish. There's loads of different colours, sets, colours. There's another couple of modules that kind of add different, more range to them. It's all quite nice. Dice tray is the bottom. It allows you to quickly just select a number of different dice you need for your game. So rather than you type in /r and that sort of thing, which a lot of people don't really, a lot of new players struggle with, tell them hover over the D20, click it, and then click roll, and it'll roll it for you. Doesn't have any automation to it, but it allows you to do an automatic, a quick roll. D&D 5e helpers and the cover expansion, I've covered these in their own module review, but they have loads of little features for 5th edition. So they have an automatic cover feature, so you can automatically detect if a creature has cover based on the way like walls are and stuff like that. There is also the undead fortitude stuff, so you can, it gives you the option to have it pop up to say when a zombie dies, to give you the check, stuff like that. It loads more to it, but it's really useful. I absolutely love that module. Drag ruler, I did the video on this over the weekend. So this one is when you drag a token across the map, you'll get a coloured bar showing its speed and how far it can move based on that information. Really nice. Dynamic active effects SRD and dynamic active effects itself. One of the most versatile modules, and possibly one of the ones that I use the most. Allows you to apply effects to other tokens rather than just yourself. So if you're going to hit someone with a weapon, you can make it apply the blinded effect if it causes a blind effect on them, without having to play around and go, oh well, you have to click this. You can just have it fail the save. Okay, brilliant, this happens. Enhance terrain layer. Again, did a video on this. It gives you a layer where you can set areas that are difficult terrain. So when you're using things like drag ruler, it automatically detects the level of terrain and slows you down going through them. Find the culprit is a godsend for when you have an error. So whenever you get a error pop up in the console, you can literally go find the culprit and it will search through to see if it finds what module is causing issues, and you can quickly deactivate and activate modules to check that process. Quite nice. 𝐒𝐮𝐩𝐸 copy environment. It literally copies everything in your Foundry game by going over here. I believe it's like copies JSON and stuff. So you can literally just copy your entire setup for a Foundry game, and then go to new Foundry game and literally import it, and it will just bring everything in. It's quite nice for like backing things up. 𝐒𝐮𝐸𝐸's quest log is especially useful for things like milestones or XP. Well, it's kind of both types, but it allows you to give players a metric on how they're doing, what they are up to currently. So you can set it so that here is a quest, and you can assign XP to it. You can assign rewards to it, and automatically hand them over, stuff like that. It's really quite nice. It is going through a change, and I believe it's going to be replaced by end of January with a new module. It improves the functionality of it, but it's still really quite nice. Unidentified items, I have done a module on that as well. This allows you to hide magic items and obfuscate them from players. So if you like the idea of making the identify spell more interesting, rather than I've got the spell, cool, or here's your magic item, if you want to give them a little bit of warning, if no one has that spell, it's really quite useful. Like, here's an item, what to do. You can just say it's a magical shield, you need to identify it, and it can do things. I've got a whole video on that. Community macros, exactly like it sounds, it is a group of macros made by the Foundry community, which are being gathered together and put into a compendium for use. You can just pull those into your game and use them already set up as they are. Give an item to another player, literally, again, exactly how it sounds. You can transfer one item to another person. It's useful if a player goes, oh, can I unattune from this necklace and give it to him? Yes, you can. Cool. You can now transfer it. You right click on the item and get a little pop-up option. You just do that. GM stat block, secret stat block even, or secret block, if we get there. So it allows you to, on an item, put a bit of secret text. So if you wanted to give them an item and you know it's cursed, you can put in there that here's the description text, and you can put a little block in there that only a GM level player can see or use that, and it will show you here's his information. So it's like, oh, this is a cursed item, blah blah blah. Health estimate, when you hover over a character, it will give you an indication. So you can set these, so mine are the default, which I believe is uninjured, partly injured, injured, heavily injured, and dead. So it is quite useful to have a quick guess. You know, players always go, oh, how's that mummy looking? And rather than asking you, they can hover over it and it gives an indication of whereabouts they are in hit points. It's really quite nice. Hidden tables, well, not used that much, but allows you to apply a hidden table or roll on it. Another chat enhancement. So this one, I believe, puts like the characters' names and stuff like that. That may conflict with the other one. I need to have a look and see if it's worth keeping both of them. I always forget I have that one there. Hotbar uses. So this one allows you to drag. So obviously you can put items onto hotbars as players. It's probably more useful. So if you wanted to make it a quick shortcut for, say, a crossbow, you can drag that on there and it will detect how many uses that item has, so how many bolts of ammo you got, or if you go as a, put my channel divinity on there and it will show you in the corner you have one out of however it links it for you. It's really quite useful to have a brief idea. Inventory sorter makes everything all alphabetical, as you might imagine. A little bit just nicer and makes it easier than having to drag and drop things. Inventory Plus, an enhancement, allows for reorganization, so you can make a new divider. And so if you want to make a bag of holding, for example, you can make one that says that it has no weight in it, and players can put those items in there and that will represent a bag of holding for them. Item macro is something that I use constantly. It allows you to put a macro on an item itself. So rather than having to link it to a macro separately, there is an option on the basically taskbar for that item, and it gives you a macro editor. You pop it in there, save it, and you can refer to it from there. It allows you a lot of functionality using macros in that regard if you do. Music pack, another one. Again, this one's under Creative Commons, it says here. Really good, gives you lots of different variation of music. Animated spell effects, which is one that I think everybody uses at the moment. Which was the same one? Oh, that's the one I'm thinking of. But these all kind of work in tandem and they give you different animations. So when you when you make a range attacks, it will show like a crossbow bolt flying at your character and going. It will show you if it hits or misses, or if you make a melee attack, it will show like a blade swinging out. It's just a bit of fun. It adds no massive functionality. It's just looks pretty, in all honesty. That's another one there. So those all kind of work in the same regional thing. So grouping those together. 𝐒𝐿 is a dependency. Cobalt Press OGL. So this is a module that gives you access to the open gaming license stuff that Cobalt Press has. So if you like Cobalt Press, you can have it's got all the monsters in there. The only thing it doesn't have is the artwork, because that is not part of the open license. So you will have to source your own artwork for it, but the monsters are pretty much complete with all the features in there and kind of set up. So if you like Cobalt Press, you can bring that straight in. Turn Announcer, that's this. So I like it because it makes it quite clear on whose turn it is. So it will post in the chat, this is X player's turn based on the chat process. Less fog allows you to adjust how the fog of war looks, so you can make it easier for DM to see through it, which is especially nice. Let Me Roll That For You is a module that when you can request rolls from players, so you can say to them, you can go to the index, I think it's here actually. You can see here, you can select who's gonna roll it, what they're rolling, is it public, is it private, they like ask them to make an ability check, custom one or skills and stuff like that, or even on roll tables. Basically, you can prompt them using this feature and they'll get a pop-up with a little banner, tells you what they're rolling, they click on it and then allows them to make that roll. Levels I really haven't used much, but I want to. It creates a new layer on a canvas, and you can kind of vary the levels on that. So you can have a building, and you can literally, I think Bailey Wiki did it. It's amazing to see. You can have it so you walk into a tavern and then you got 2 more floors above you. The ground floor you're on, you can only see ground floor stuff, but you got the stairs, ground floor vanishes, and the first floor appears, and so forth. You can do stuff like that. It's really nice. Something I haven't put much effort into using because I've not had to Curse of Strahd just yet. Something I'm probably going to have a look at when I get to Ravenloft, which sounds like going to be a lot frustrating, but could be really awesome. Color settings, dependency again. So it's document sheet registrar, library chat commands again, hotkeys, also no one. librapper is another dependency. A lot of modules rely on that. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that German word, but it stands for light speed, I believe. This is one I believe is going into core Foundry in V9, but it basically makes like the lighting effects a lot quicker in Foundry. Link item and resource. This is one I quite like. It's quite simple. So obviously you can have a resource for an item, and then an item has a you can link them so they both match, so they're not mismatched. Because you'll probably know if you have it feature use a resource, it doesn't always update them properly, or you get the 2 little buttons to say, do you want to use this? On this one, you can have it so just the 2 of them linked together. Lock view allows, so you can see on here, so it basically, if you want things to sit in a specific viewpoint and not have players drag it around, you can have that. So I have this for my landing page here, so I want to always see this variation rather than move things about, so it just locks it in place. Loot sheet NPC is pretty much that. You can make shopkeepers out of it, you can make enemies that have coins, weapons, whatever. You literally just tell it it's a loot sheet and it gives you options, and you can break down, allows you to split down how like money between them automatically. So if there's money on there, it could be assigned towards everyone automatically, split equally, and it gives you a list of all the other items they have on them and stuff. Custom dice for dice are nice, exactly how it sounds. Macro editor makes it a little bit easier if you edit macros, and you can see it, and it kind of lays out things out a bit more like JavaScript, makes it a bit easier. Macro folders, similar to Compendium folders, allows you to put macros into a folder. Simple as that. Magic items, I've done a module review on this, but allows you to add spells to it, allows you to add feats to it, tell us if this is a magic item, make it for attunement and things like that. Really useful. I absolutely love it. Math.js is a dependency. Merchant NPC, this one I have active, but I technically don't need to. I have had it active on here, but it's another shopkeeper one, so if you don't want to use loot sheet, you can use this instead. MIDI QML is possibly one of the biggest and most complex modules that I use. It is basically for automation, so any kind of automation, MIDI QML will do that sort of thing for you. Really useful. The SRD is linked to it, so someone 𝐒𝐮𝐩𝐸, I can never pronounce that, but they have made a number of effects and items that work in tandem with MIDI QL. Monks active triggers, so these are all monks. There's a whole bunch of monk ones. They're really amazing. So the tile triggers I've only started to use very briefly, but allows you to do teleportation, open doors. You can have it change scenes for you. You can have it open character sheets. You can do a lot of stuff with this. Bailey Wiki's done an amazing video on this, showing like a trap, and you can do it in steps. You can tell it how long you want to do. So you can literally say, play the sound for this long, open this, change this, remove this tile. It's a complex thing you can do, but a lot of awesome stuff. Enhanced journal improves the journal look, makes a tabbed view, which is quite nice. So you can have you don't have to have tons of journals open. You have one journal page and they're all just tabbed, almost like a web page. Really useful. Hotbar expansion, so you can click on the hotbar and you get multiple pages rather than having to click through it. You can just pop it all up in one. Monk's little details, which is this little module here, gives you no, it's not, that's token bar. So Monk's little details gives you loads of little features. I've done a video on this as well. It adds loads of little functionality in, such as like combat tracker, things like that. All those are really awesome. Token bar is this. It allows you to have, when you're on a scene with tokens, you can assign PCs to it, for example, or monsters to it, and you can quickly see at a glance their name, their health, different things. So I have mine set with AC, passive perception, and hit points, so I can quickly see those at a glance on players. Wall enhancements just makes walls a bit better. So again, it says here you can drag points together. So if you make two walls and like, oh shit, actually should be one, you can just click a button, drag them together, and it connects. Really useful. Multi-level tokens is an alternative to Monk's active tiles. It is the one that's been used more commonly, I think, multi-level tokens. It allows for teleportation. I think two of the main difference is with these two modules, multi-level allows you to use polygons, whereas Monk's is kind of set to the tile, like square effects. So that's kind of a different thing, but they both work together quite nicely. There's no conflicts in having them both there, and they can choose one or the other. It all comes down to choice. So yeah, and then my compendium, that's just a personal compendium I made. So I'll come back with the rest of the modules later, because you can see there's still quite a few of them. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. Please come back to see the rest of my modules. Again, if there's any you would like to see in more detail, please drop me a comment below to let me know. I'm more than happy to make videos that people might find interesting and useful going forward. But thanks a lot for watching. Hope you have a good Christmas and a happy New Year if you're watching this at Christmas time, because it is December now, and have a good one.